So, reality check. Let's take a look at what this looks like today. 74 degrees out right now. Beautiful, beautiful day. Actually, let me see if I can bring up my my data on the on my phone here. Yesterday's broadcast was pretty long. I'm not sure how long today's will be. It's my iPod. I'm going to connect to my cell phone, use it as a hotspot right now. And what I wanted to deal with is basically going over some of the issues of life that we look at. Is it reality? Is it the way we like it to be? Or is it something else? And that's one of the issues is I would simply say it's best to evaluate information, and then we have a paradigm that we use, or a belief system. I believe that the Bible is true, and therefore anything that contradicts what I believe the Bible actually says is false. That's how I roll with this, unapologetically. Some like it, some don't. I'm not here to please everybody. Some people are going to be very unhappy with what I talk about and what I am about. So I'm going to flip this around so I can show you a little bit more of the data of what's going on right now. Okay, so now that we've got that taken care of, I'm going to go ahead and position this. We had I washed a couple of our cars this morning. Well, does it just clean the cars? Well, no, it actually cleans me a little bit. And how do I mean? How does that even work? Well, I'll tell you. Part of how that works is the body in motion stays in motion unless there's an outside force that acts against it or acts upon it. So like after I do my normal routine of getting all cleaned up and I scrub the cars, one of the things that happens is the body moving helps loosen up all the muscles, the circulation. I'm not sitting on the couch with the channel changer vegging out. I'm a real active guy. It's what I do. And so that's what I wanted to tell you. Now, as I approach the sun rise out at the, I believe I'm going to go to the walkout at the Russell R. Burgess Coastal Preserve. I saw the video that I did yesterday and I was rather pleased with how that turned out, including being able to see the bubbles. I did bring some Simple Green with me. It's a non-toxic, biodegradable cleaner that will dissolve gnats and not hurt me or anything else. So part of this is an example to show you what it looks like on my way in, and part of the process that I go through, and it's maximizing of my time as well. I've got some other responsibilities to take care of today. This just gives me an opportunity to show you a little bit more of what this is like as I do what I do. Now, to start today, it never really ended. It's just we're living in a perpetual now. We just go through different stages of what we do. So when I was sleeping, I was listening to the Bible. Before I went to sleep, I saw some of the video that ended up finally posting yesterday. It takes a little bit of time, and I wanted to mention too that there are glitches in that, and I don't know why. Some of the content was missing. Is there some nefarious plot to edit those things out, or is it a connection issue? I'm not sure. I don't know. I can tell you that when I was down by the faucet showing you the water running, that's totally not in there. I saw, you know, when I actually got up this morning to view some of what I did yesterday, it was 2 o'clock in the morning. There's a little gazing pond that I've got video, and I've shown little birds, little ducks swimming across that. Just beautiful. See, the other thing a clean car does is it gives me a really good reflection to show you on the ride in. It's another part of the process. It gives me a bit more of a professional perspective that I can show you. Now it looks to me, when I'm looking through the lens of my viewfinder or my iPhone 6, that the road is rising up, the sky is coming down, and the sides are coming in, all to the center focal point of light in the middle, that oncoming car that's down right below the water tower right now. And we're gonna head on over there, and then we're gonna pass on by. We've got Bike Week going on in Myrtle Beach right now. This is what they call the Grand Strand, the coastal area of the Myrtle Beach area in South Carolina, and it's a gorgeous area. A lot of people coming and visiting, and then a lot of people also deciding to move here. We're anticipating 20 million people here in this calendar year of 2018. A lot of them have already visited, and they're made their reservations for next year. There's the water tower, clear, easy to see. And then across the road is the Seacoast Medical. They've got a mirrored building, and what they have are lights on inside right now. And in the rooms where the lighting is on, we'll be able to see into those rooms. That's just how it works. And some people are working in there and so forth. There's a public works project going on here. It looks like some type of sanitation lift station or something to do with the development that's going in there. Over 1,200 homes are going to be going in to that area, and businesses and so forth. There will be a retirement and more, retirement home and more. And then over to the right is a memorial park where Perpetual Care, I believe it, or not this one, there's another one. We have a friend that owns this, and that's where people's bodies are laid to rest, or their it's just part of the reality of the life. And the sun is approaching from that vantage point over there. I'll show you when I get up over the waterway itself. I could tell it was going to be a spectacular view today. And over in this direction is where the sun is approaching. That's over in the direction where the sun sat last night. And there's the Intracoastal Waterway. It's affected by the tidal activity as well. So when we're this close to the ocean, puddles of water, ponds, retention ponds, and all of that are really close to the overall sea level. And in fact, that's kind of an important dynamic when considering like high performance vehicle racing. I raced motocross, professional level caliber. I was actually an expert, did really well, progressed really well. But anyway, part of the dynamic of that is jetting the engine and regulating the amount of fuel based on the atmosphere that's present to create a clean combustion. So a jetting of a motorcycle at sea level is different than up in the mountains. To give you a radical comparison, it's just the reality. And yeah, as far as I did my hair this morning, I used the Flowbee and a trimmer to do this. That was probably at about 4 o'clock in the morning. It says to lubricate the Flowbee after before each use. And so I do that. I did my trimming first, put my coconut oil on my hair after I did my whole cleanup routine. I talked about how I do that yesterday. I'm not going to do that today. But then what I do is go ahead and flow bead my hair. You'll see it better when I get out there. But it's a very precision piece of equipment. I got it from Amazon.com, and it's like less than $130. I do my own hair when I feel like it. Takes me a few minutes, and it is absolute precision. I connect it to one of our Kirby vacuum cleaners that we got used for, like, I got one for $20. What a deal. With all the attachments. Great vacuum. Anyway, I attach this Flowbee there. It pulls the hair out and precision trims it. What I did too is in the vacuum cleaner bag, I add a little baking soda and a little cinnamon. So when I turn the vacuum on, smells nice, kills the bacteria. The cinnamon water combination, now I'm warming up on the stove, and I put it in one of my quart bottles that I pour on me. It's cinnamon and baking soda combination for my body wash. And it smells great, feels great, invigorating, all of that. Let's flip it around. Here's the Coastal Preserve, right in that direction. Water tower, easy to see in the middle. And I'll be headed down Duffy Street, directly towards the water tower at the point as well. I mentioned the water towers because the water exposes the global lie. Yes, wow, look at the sun lighting up the backlighting of all of that. How gorgeous. I knew it by looking at the way it was getting light and the clouds that were visible. I knew it was going to be spectacular. I had to start rolling earlier so that I could cover this, because it'll change and you'll see it. I want to, you know, I'm not exceeding the speed limit. We're about 11 minutes before the sun actually being visible above the plane at the horizon, the X-axis. It'll be a little bit delayed here for me at the Coastal Preserve because of buildings that are in the way. But even if I'm out at the point, a couple miles down, the island is going to obscure the view a little bit. Now in the winter, when the sun apparently rises out of the ocean or appears over the ocean, it is very precision on the timing and all of that. And I can see it when it first appears. It's gorgeous. Wow, look at that. Okay, I'll get us out there as quick as I can. Okay, I just need to work this a little bit. So the tide is coming in. And it's gorgeous today, of course. Look at that. And I'm going to need to get set up to be able to shoot this with the Nikon P900. Yeah, it'll be spectacular. I need to set up for that. Let's see, I want to kind of get this so I can make my transition with my stuff. So I'll take us out there and be able to show you from a different vantage point. Looks like a lady maybe out on the walk out there. I meet a lot of fascinating people doing this. That's all part of the experience of getting to do this. I've decided to go without a microphone, an outside mic. It seems to work better this way. In the middle of the view, in front of the reflection of the building, in the middle right there, there's a break in the reflection because of the bottom of the water area there. The clams are sticking up. There's virtually no wind right now, and even if it does get windy, there's a wind break here, which is kind of nice. I've got some flexibility with my broadcasting here. And then the other nice thing is I can park the car real close by, and I've got restroom facilities, and it's a nice common meeting place. As I endeavor to put the horizon level, the middle of the view, it's pretty easy to see, for me anyway, the mirror that it is. That's the Prince Resort in the middle of the view, the building there. And the Cherry Grove Pier extends from there facing directly south. Yesterday we saw the tide come in to the bottom of the stairs, and this morning I'm sure it'll do the same. It establishes basically, or what I'm establishing with this broadcast once again, is how the water basically exposes the global eye. Covers the face of the earth, fills the container it's in. Good morning. What a beautiful day, huh? So the breeze is out of the south right now, and it just picked up. I would say probably about 5 miles an hour. Hi Marcia, I'm Robert.
Robert, nice to meet you.
Thanks. Dollar General you work at? Yeah, we've got one in our neighborhood too. I don't think we've met before. I've got a live broadcast on YouTube right now.
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. And if you want to see this again, here's my Facebook card. And
thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I broadcast the Bible live too, and it's archived. You can see my playlist there.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Do you mind if I show you on the camera?
I don't mind at all.
Here's Marcia.
Good morning.
Yeah, and what I'm basically showing is just the beauty of all of this for people that can't really visit practically, except they can tune into my channel and check it out.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite spots.
It is gorgeous, absolutely. Now today there's a lot more of a breeze than there was yesterday. Yesterday was really calm for quite some time. But that'll allow me a little different setup, which I'm gonna actually do.
Nice equipment.
Oh, it really makes a difference. It's a ProMaster carbon fiber, and it is really lightweight. Makes a difference. So I'll take it out to the beach as well. You know, sometimes people will say, I saw the sunrise, it was really gorgeous, and yeah, it was, especially from where I was. Typically I'll need to be out in the water to get the shots that I want to show people.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, so that's part of the dynamic, is that lens placement is a big deal. If I move the lens a few feet or a few inches, or just a little bit, or I move it across country or around the world. And basically what I'll do too is I'll find content that other people have created, and I'll share to showcase the beauty and majesty of creation, and then give God the credit he's due for creating this place. Instead of saying we came from monkeys like National Geographic or the other deceptive organizations that show the beauty and then give a false explanation for our existence. And that's why I do this, is basically to show the reality. Today's broadcast is called Reality Check, and I'm just showing people the beautiful reality of this area and what it looks like. So even here we can see the reflection of the houses in that water, because the wind is coming from the south. And then over here we can see the ripples that are created by the wind. And then the shape of all the foliage, and like up in the middle of the view from this vantage point, we can see the clam bed sticking out, and it blocks the ripples a bit. So all those details are part of the reality. It's part of how it really works. When a pelican wants to take off, they face into the wind. The wind gives them lift. The opposition and the detractors that are making fun of me for saying we didn't go to the moon, we don't live on a globe, it's mostly flat, and we certainly didn't come from monkeys. We still got the monkeys they lied about us coming from, okay? So they're making fun, and they're lying, and I ain't buying. I'm not buying the lies of going to Mars and landing on the moon and all that. So the reality check is, what is the reality? Are people making their life choices based on a false reality? And I would say Absolutely. Just so my audience knows, I'm talking with Marcia over here, one of her favorite places to come and visit. Certainly mine too. Look at how this is lighting up today. Absolutely gorgeous. So this is like you mentioned, the tripod, really lightweight. So it's easy for me to just pan it around very easily, professionally. Wow. And the thing about the lighting for how this appears right now, it, as I'm sure you know, changes rapidly.
Absolutely.
Now, when I thought I was going to get a totally different view of the sunrise than it looks like we're going to get now, it all changed. The clouds all changed.
Absolutely. Sure has.
And I'm not disappointed. This cloud bank that's over there, I thought was going to be right over here. So the way that the sun is approaching right there, and I do believe it's above the horizon. Yeah, for the last 3 minutes it has been, I believe. Actually, here we go. Let me refresh this and I'll show you Cherry Grove inside. I'm disconnected. So what I do is I've got my phone as my hotspot, and then I reconnect with my my phone as my hotspot. So that allowed me to keep tabs on what's going on my social media. It helps. It helps a lot. So now I'll go to Tides Near Me. That's what the app looks like, and it's free.
Yeah, I have it.
Oh, you use Tides Near Me too?
I do.
Yeah, it's great. Okay, so I'm having a problem. Ah, there we go. It just came back up. So it tells us when the sunset is now, 13 hours and 50 minutes from now. So if oh, and the moonrise, well, how far from that? 16 minutes from now. And so I'm going to go to the week, and then that'll show the tidal activity. High tide, 8:37. And let's look at the sunrise was actually 6:12, which was 5 minutes ago. We obviously can't see it. Last night I was going to do a broadcast to show you the synthetic skies that we have. Hey, I'll say, there you are. Yeah, I was mentioning I did my hair this morning with the Flowbee. It's a precision hair cutting system that I got from Amazon.com. Very effective, and for $130 or so, does an excellent job. You can YouTube it. It's one of my liked videos. I show that. You're not on right now, Marcia. I'm shooting it back at me.
Oh, that's great. Good job.
Oh, thank you, dear.
How about that?
Yeah, who else is going to cut my hair at 4 o'clock in the morning? Come on. Certainly not my wife. She's sleeping. But what we can see in the view, even though the water has a lot of ripples on it, we can still see some of the symmetry and the building reflections there. The airflow is highlighted by the ripples and the glacier water. I'm about to break out some bubbles and show you some light spectrums in that. So that's what I'll do right now. And let's see, I think I want to do it like this. I'm going to have them come at you for a little bit. I thought that looked pretty cool yesterday. Marcia, have you ever seen the bubbles around North Myrtle Beach?
The bubbles?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, you'll know in just a moment what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. No, I haven't.
Okay. When I was born again on Reformation Day of 2014, as best I can tell, there was like a 30-some year delay. I thought I was born again much earlier until I actually was.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of that happening?
Yes, it happened to me.
Oh, it happened to you too. That's excellent. I'm glad you understand more what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, what a difference to have God's Spirit to do His work. Otherwise, it's futile. So what I did up until then was straw, hay, and stubble, and that's okay because now it's gold. I was still one of His children. I just needed to be born of His Spirit to do what He wants me to do. So here's the bubbles.
Oh, wow. Wow. They're beautiful.
Thanks. It's yeah, they get a lot of attention, a lot of smiles.
Big one. Wow, look at that. I'm sorry.
Oh, little baby duck or goose, huh?
I
Did you
think,
see a mom or a dad nearby?
I think that's green heron. Don't see them too often. You see him?
Oh, that's not a baby bird.
No,
I don't think so. I think it's a small bird on stealth mode.
I think it's a green heron.
Uh-huh.
You do not see them very often.
I've got some pictures of them and video on my photo album.
Oh, good. Wow. Nice bubbles.
Thanks. They're called gazillion bubbles,
Uh-huh.
and they're the best I've found. They actually do performances with them, like
Okay.
with laser shows and on stages and that, like in Broadway. And what's so pretty about them is they are just so crystal clear. They're non-toxic, non-staining. They won't hurt anybody or anything. And they're that was important to me because I was doing an urban display, and I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to be getting people all freaked out about what's in your bubbles, what are they. And so I went through a little bit of an experimental stage where I tried, because bubbles were expensive. I can go through $10 worth of bubbles in a few hours easily. So what I did, I tried making my own, and I found out that it was better to buy professionally made, patented, that had an MSD sheet, and they were made for performances with children and pets and people all over the place. And so yeah. So what you're seeing from there, you can't see from here, and vice versa. That's what's kind of interesting about this. The way that, you know, everybody has a perspective. What is the reality that people see? And there's ultimately the truth, and then there's a reality about what we perceive. What's true, I believe truth and reality are synonymous, like interchangeable. And then there's a false reality that a lot of people live in through entertainment programming, but it's all programming, and including God's Word, which is God's programming for God's children. So what I'm going to do right now is show my audience, and you'll be able to hear it. I've got the audio Bible on, oh, you see the AE map on my phone? Maybe that's what the world looks like from up above. I don't know. I'm not sure. I just thought it was a cool screensaver, so that's what I've got. Okay, so I'm going to go to my playlist. This is the audio that I integrate on my audio Bible broadcasts. And if you want to use a different translation, it's easy enough to just go ahead and open up another window and put on whatever translation you prefer. That's another nice option if you want to. So this is John, the Gospel of John.
Chapter 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of men. The light shines in the darkness, but the darkness has not understood it. There came a man who was sent from God. His name was John. He came as a witness to testify concerning that light, so that through him all men might believe. He himself was not the light. He came only as a witness to the light. The true light that gives light to every man was coming into the world. He was in the world, and though the world was made through him, the world did not recognize him. He came to that which was his own, but his own did not receive him. Yet, to all who received him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. Children born not of natural descent, nor of human decision or a husband's will, but born of God. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. John testifies concerning him. He cries out, saying, "This was he of whom I said, he who comes after me has surpassed me."
Oh, good to
because
see
he
you,
was
Marcia.
before me.
Thank you,
From
dear.
the fullness
You can
of his
call me
grace, we've
anytime
all
you
received
like.
one blessing
And
gift.
what I was going to say too, I'm typically at my friend limit. You can follow me. I've got the follow feature on Facebook,
Okay.
and I respond to my private messages as well. If you want to say hi, I'll see you there. I pick up followers every day normally. So oh, look at the geese. Isn't that cool? So what I'll end up doing is sending you my photo album, and otherwise I don't normally. It's hard for me to find people that just click the follow, because when I click on who they are, all my followers show up, and it's thousands of people. But if you send me a private message, I'll be able to respond to you, add you to Messenger.
Okay, okay.
It's the workaround my friend limit, if you like.
All right, sweetie.
So good to see you, Marcia. Now, are you at the Dollar General next to where is the location you're at?
I'm out on 90, out by that IGA out there on 90.
Oh, okay. Very good. Yeah, we live in Longs over by at the lakes at Parkway Plaza. We've got one right in our neighborhood there.
Sure do.
Yeah, there's a few Dollar Generals around, right?
Yes, there are.
Oh yeah. Wow, what a gorgeous day. So nice to meet you out here.
It's very nice to meet you too.
Thank you so much. Oh, I wonder what they're going to do with the bubbles. They're headed towards the bubbles that are there. There's I don't know if you can see them on the audience here. The geese are headed towards the bubbles right in the view across where those trees are. There's one bubble catching up to the leader of the pack there. You see that? It's going over the top of them now. What's so funny about these, I'll go out to the ocean and do this like near the condominiums, and it'll just fill up a huge view. Like they can go as far as I've seen and heard of them as far as half a mile away. No, more common is a quarter of a mile away, depending on humidity. When it's really dry, they don't last as long. However, when it's high humidity, they'll last a long time. Oh yeah? What kind of, what are you meaning?
I wear gloves, they're orange gloves, and they get marsh grass.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Are they like a firefly or something?
no, they're gloves. They look like they have a world in them.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
Well, that sure sounds interesting. I'd like to see that.
I would too. I'd like to see it again. I'd like to go down to Cape Romaine and just sit in the marshes and spend the night. And you see all kinds of things there that nobody's going to talk about.
Yeah, really. What was that?
Bye.
Bye-bye, Marcia.
There's another goose out there. No, that's not a goose. That's a dyke.
Oh, okay. So what you're able to see in the view is it's the bubbles are a reflective orb, a sphere. Yeah, if you're looking for the curve, you can see it in the bubbles. But it's kind of like a GoPro lens. It's going to be a distorted reflection. They sure are pretty. So once again, it's I'm gonna put the bubbles down for a bit. So what I thought I was gonna have was a zoomed in view of a sunrise, and obviously that didn't happen because right over based on what happened with yesterday's sunrise, the sun would be about in that area, and of course we can't see that. And the moon, let's bring that up. What percentage was the moon? Well, let's see. So it says we have a 1% moon, and obviously we won't see that either. Last night when the moon set, it was like a 3%, and it was clearly all a synthetic sky. It was not a natural sky. Now, I mentioned this at the Flat Earth ABC coverage of the Flat Earth. They say, what color is the sky? Blue, blue, blue. People said blue. Almost everybody said blue. Now, I don't know if they went in, if they elaborated on it more than that. So, but let me point this out to you. It looks to me like we've got some blue here and maybe a little bit more blue there. However, there's a bunch of different colors. Yesterday, and you saw it earlier in the video, or you can if you want to scroll back, is that there were a myriad of colors. And that's based on a lot of different variables. What's the composition of the clouds and the gases that the elements that the sun is shining through. And yes, I'm sure that there's some unhealthy particulate in the atmosphere, and I'm not all freaked out about it. That was part of what I wanted to talk about last night on the sunset broadcast that I didn't do. I just decided to do other activity. And what I was going to say is because I limit my exposure to toxic chemicals for personal hygiene, I use cinnamon, coconut oil, and baking soda, and a mixture of that. I'll go through the routine. I basically have the gloves sitting in highly purified solar activated carbon filtered water, and it's reverse osmosis. So it's real clean, and I put a little bit of baking soda and cinnamon in there. And then I'll scrub myself up with that, and then I'll put organic coconut oil on after I rinse off with a bottle of hot purified water of the same description. Reason being, it's a spot-free rinse. Then I put a golf ball sized dollop of coconut oil in my mouth that's also been cleaned, exfoliated with the same aforementioned process. Reason being, I want to have everything all cleaned up, and then I'll put the coconut oil on. The reason why I put it in my mouth is it's in a solid form when it's below 77 degrees. It's just how it works. And then when I go ahead and slough off the water, it'll keep coming out of my skin. When I work my hands and all of that and the rest of my body, what it does is it releases lactic acid from the muscles. It's good for the cleaning of the body. There's an internal and an external cleaning. And like I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, when I was washing the cars, I was doing more than cleaning the cars, I was cleaning myself, in that the physical activity that happens when I do that releases the fluids. It helps circulation. I've got a very active lifestyle. In the last, because of the seasonal change and my activity change here, and also I reduced the coconut oil input into my body. That whole combination, I went from 235 to 210 in about a month, and most of it came off of my midsection. I don't mind whatever I weigh, I just don't want to look like I'm pregnant. That's all. So a lot of times people are preoccupied with the external. I'm not preoccupied with my external, even though it may sound like that. That isn't the issue. I want to be professional. I want to exude professionalism, and also that I do know what I'm talking about. I'm not making this stuff up. On my liked video playlist, I've got documentaries that basically substantiate and validate the perspectives that I talk about and hold to. That's pretty much how I do this. And I'll do an extended broadcast like these. It takes a while for them to post, and you can scroll through. It's the opposite of a time lapse. Although there's going to be missing time if it's like yesterday. On yesterday's video, there's missing moments, and I don't know why they're missing. I'm not editing my live video. And I'm not saying that they're just wanting to cut pieces of it out. I don't know why they're not there. It might be a connectivity issue. Okay, so I'm gonna flip this around, and I wanted to simply show you a little bit of how the water has filled in this little area since I came out here, brought you out here. Obviously, we can not see a reflection where the water isn't. That's just how it works. And it'll keep on coming in. I have an individual that keeps commenting on my videos saying I'm not providing evidence and proof that the water doesn't curve. I've given them the Earth Curvature Calculator, earthcurvature.com. Yesterday's video as the first of my over 850 some videos that I have. There's plenty of proof there. It's not about the proof, it's not about the evidence, it's about the individual. They're talking, I went to their profile and they talked about the dishonesty of flat earthers and their not being honest with the numbers. Well, the water's flat. That's that. Undisturbed water is flat and level. I show a lot of evidence of that. I'm not upset with that person, by the way, just so you know. What I end up doing is make the truth available to people, and by that also I include that I believe the Bible is true, is God's word and is true. I elaborate on that in detail, and I'll do a little bit more of that today. The historical account of the Great Flood is huge evidence to me that the Bible is true. And there's more. There's a lot more. There's prophecy that was fulfilled in the life of Christ, his life, death, resurrection, and then, of course, the evidence of changed lives. People willing to die for what they believe, you're looking at one of them. I will die. If I'm given the choice to recant my faith or be martyred, well, I'll be another martyr for Jesus. That's what'll happen with me. I'm good with that. For his glory. Not that I necessarily am wanting to rush that along. I don't know if that'll happen for me. I have no way of knowing. I trust that Jesus knows what he's doing. I just leave it all in his hands. Very capable hands. Okay, so I'm going to drop this so it's a little bit more comfortable for me to work with, I think. But that changes. Yeah, see, anytime the height of the view changes, it changes a lot. But I want to keep a nice flow going so I can show you some of the highlights of what is unfolding here. See, in this view, we can see the clouds above and they're mirrored to below. It's a plane mirror. It's a flat mirror is what it is. It's not only that, it's a sea level liquid mirror. As beautiful as the salt flats are in Bolivia, and much beautiful photography has come from there, this is an active moving sea level right now. It's continually moving up and down, in and out. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the salt flat in Bolivia or the Bonneville salt flat. The salt flats, all of these locations are evidences of the creation, the world that we live in. The reality that we have. So what I'm going to do is, I believe the broadcast will keep going here. I want to activate the water, and because when I did yesterday, the water faucet over there, when I went down there, the broadcast cut out. That was a missing part. So I want to show you how the water will seek its level right there.
I'm trying to get her used to all the different places. Usually after she's been somewhere once or twice, she's not so hyper.
Right.
So you've got that set up for your phone.
Yeah, it's an iPhone 6. This is Bill Neely, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good to see you, Bill. And River
River.
over there. And it's River. River's 5 months old. What a cutie. Well, I'll tell you what, Bill. I'm gonna go ahead and oh, I wonder if she would like the bubbles. What do you think?
She might. She chases everything in the world. I'd be interested if she does. I'll get some and take her to the park.
Okay.
She's been getting this kind of walk, a walk in the neighborhood, and the dog park over at the sports complex.
Yeah.
That's so much fun to see those dogs over there.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Now, the one in North Myrtle?
Yeah, the one over at the sports complex.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, they got a big dog park and a little dog park.
Okay.
And the big dog, well, both of them, but they have so much fun.
Hi, River. Okay, here we go. It's showtime. Here we go. And they're called Gazillion bubbles, and they're non-staining and non-toxic. I got them from Walmart, and oh, they're fun. Hey, girl.
She's in the teething stage. She's got her adult teeth. She's still wants to chew on
Stuff. Well, I'll tell you.
stuff.
Oh yeah, on you. I'll tell you what. I used to be a pest control guy, bug man, and I found some mistakes people made with their pets. One of them was when they chew a shoe, they give them the shoe to keep chewing on. That's not a good move.
Yeah.
Then you get a shoe chewing dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of that, huh? Good girl.
Yeah,
Do you
Walmart's
throw
actually our
the-
next step, next stop. We
Well, where did you say it? Walmart? You're going there?
Walmart. Yeah, it's the vet yesterday recommended a gentle leader thing that goes around the back of the neck, the back of the head, and the nose.
Oh.
And she said that'll give you control over them.
Oh, okay.
And they can
okay.
still eat or drink with it.
Right.
So just till she gets over this.
Puppy stage.
Yeah, I picked her up from a friend of mine. I met her in Asheboro Friday afternoon.
Okay.
And so she's in like her 4th day down here.
Oh man.
She's made a lot of progress in 4 days.
What a nice dog. Well, and that's part of the down. And that's part of the well, the training.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Well, Bill, good to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Thanks. That's an anytime number if you have any questions
Okay.
on what I'm about, what I'm putting out there on YouTube. I found some really amazing documentaries that I share as well, and I create some myself that you might enjoy also. Now, I've been in this area right here and I've shown the beauty of the title activity over a prolonged period of time and broadcast the Bible live.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a Bible believer too?
Yeah, I mean, I don't do it enough, but I actually a few years ago bought the DVD, the Bible on DVD.
Yeah, yeah.
The guy was a Shakespearean actor that.
Oh.
And the feeling and the way he says everything, and then some of the, it's just still pictures.
Okay.
It really adds a lot to it.
Yeah, is he Max McLean? Does that sound familiar?
Gosh, I can't remember.
Or
I actually
Alexander
gave about
Score?
3 or 4 of them away for Christmas.
Oh,
You
nice.
said Mike. You talking about Mike down at Mike Lawing?
That
Church
walks.
of Lost and Found?
No, Max McLean is.
No, I mean you said you was watching a dog for Mike. Or
Oh, Mike was out on the point. Mike has a dog and his wife called Lil and River.
Oh,
Lil River, they call him. This is the sound of the audio Bible that I have. Let me cue that up. It's the one that I merged with what I do here.
John chapter 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word
Sounds
was
like
with
it.
God,
Yeah.
and the Word was God.
You know, actually, I was an engineer. I was a scientist for 25 years.
No kidding,
Well,
Mike.
really 40, because my second job was tech service manager for a German company.
Yeah.
And I actually, you know, I had all day to walk around and
Figure
not
stuff
walk
out.
around, but drive. And sometimes I'd be in the car for 16 hours.
Yeah.
Sometimes I actually found a way to make everything work. Like it, you know, sometimes people say, well, it was really the Big Bang Theory and blah, blah, blah. There was just, but if you think about it, what I always thought was, there was nothing. There was just gas, you know, just big empty space with a lot of gas. And then it said, you know, the Lord said, let there be light, created. And that's kind of how the planets and everything, you know, how Earth and everything got started. Was that there was like a big explosion, and then there was all this stuff.
Well, as far as I understand, the biblical creation is God spoke this world into existence, and we didn't evolve from monkeys, right? We didn't come from goo. We didn't come from stardust. God spoke all of this into existence, and I elaborate in detail on some of that, as well as documentaries that I've shared as well. What I found out, I'm a biblical creationist, and I believe the water exposes the global lie. I don't believe the earth is a globe. I believe that that's a deception. And I have a lot of evidence that I've compiled to substantiate that and to prove that to me. For a couple of years now, I've known we don't live on a globe. The water covers the face of the earth. Undisturbed water is flat and level. Like when I show you the view of that right there, that's a plane mirror. It's flat. It's not a convex or a concave mirror. It's perfectly flat when it's undisturbed. And what I showed earlier, and the reason why I did it, was to show the water coming out of that spigot and running over to the low spot. And we can see the little foam on the water there. That's where the water entered, and we can see the bubbles coming up out. And the undisturbed water is perfectly flat. And basically that's that. Now, what has happened is we've got a very sophisticated mind control system that basically is giving people a false reality, a perspective on life that's not based in reality. It's science fiction. That's what I call it. Some call it scientism or pseudoscience. I like to call it science fiction, Bill, right? Bill, because I believe it's appropriately condescending for people with a lot of academic background. I want them to realize that if they believe we live on a globe, they're believing in science fiction. They're believing in Lost in Space, My Favorite Martian, Star Wars, Star Trek, and all of that. So, what's happened too is the pre-programmed response, Bill, is that when somebody says I'm a flat earther, or I don't believe in the moon landing, or I found conspiracies that I believe to be real, the pre-programmed response that you should have, and others do have, is those are crazy people, right? Tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorists. And I would say, well, you know what? I understand that that's what you were programmed to believe, or other people have been programmed to believe that. And so with the name of the video today is Reality Check, and that's basically where I'm wanting to show people the reality of how things actually work. This water is going to come up and then it's going to stop, and it's going to go down and out. All the reflections will change. The biblical cosmology, as it's called, is that the sun and the moon and the stars move above the face of the earth. Did you know that? And God's word says that the earth doesn't move. Well, if the earth isn't moving, and I believe it's not according to scripture and reality, then that means that the supposed experts are lying. They're launching rockets into the ocean and pretending to land on the moon and faking it. Well, I'm calling them liars. They're lying. I ain't buying. We don't have toilet water flying out on people in Australia because of gravity. Well, it's just, well, hello, it's just water seeking its level. That's what it does. When we flush a toilet, the water goes down. Have you ever heard people say, well, we can tell the earth spins because of how a toilet spins? Have you ever heard that?
Mm-mm.
Well, I've heard that. I've had people say that. Right over there in the middle of the view where I'm pointing, there's a culvert system that allows water flow back and forth under the road. Well, I've got video that shows whirlpools running opposite directions within a foot of each other, or 2 feet of each other, on the same plane. They're on the same. It's the hydrodynamics of the shape of the water flow in that area. That's all it is. We've got the aerodynamics that we can clearly see in the view by the way the reflections are over the water. The ripples in the water affect the reflections, what we can see, what we can notice. And even though there's ripples, it still reflects, just differently. So as I'm panning around here, now I've got the wind at my back, I can still see the reflection of the trees pretty well. If I go over here, we can see those houses pretty clear. Okay, the wind is coming out of the south right now, and the ocean is right over on the other side of the buildings. Oh, you know what, I pulled my tripod in. That'll make it easier for me to do this. But as we look at just the short amount of time, look at the symmetry of the reflection of that walkout. It's perfectly flat and level.
She'll wrap you up.
You know what I'll do? I wonder if what'll happen if I go up here.
Oh yeah, she can't bother you.
Well, you know, she's not bothering me now. It's just that she's working on it. Hey girl. Oh yeah, she wants to. But you know what? It's kind of funny. There's how things work and reality, and then there's how we might like to see things work. Well, I'm okay with reality. It's not going to change. However, what happened with me is, oh, look at her. Isn't she adorable? Oh, yeah, that's bird poop. Yeah. Thanks for cleaning that off. Yeah. And then she'll be licking your face later on. Isn't that wonderful?
Don't remind me.
Oh, we've got cats too. They're funny. They're licking places that I don't even want to think about when they're showing affection to me.
Yeah.
Oh well. But that's the reality of it. So what is the reality? Well, according to my projected time, I showed the earlier broadcast, or earlier in the broadcast. I'll bring it back up. We've got the Tides Near Me app, and I've got to refresh that. Do you have the Tides Near Me app? Okay, I think I'm okay. So it shows me that let's see, high tide's at 8:37. There we go, and it'll be a 4.9 foot tide. So that yeah, and that means that those stairs are going to get wet again. We can see where it was last night, right?
Yeah.
Or thereabouts. Now it probably didn't go as tall as that water because of the vascular nature of the fiber of the tree, right? It draws that water up, just like the sand will draw water into it before the water level actually reaches there, right? Have you noticed that? Yeah, higher is drier and lower is wetter. Now we've got a lot of bubbles coming out of there because of the aeration that the little crabs did. Have you seen the crabs come out?
Yeah, the fiddler crabs.
Yeah, the fiddler crabs come out and they're digging on into the sand. And now we've got these little mud minnows and that's swimming around. And what'll end up happening is these fish will get concentrated as the water recedes, and then the the seabirds will come in and they'll start feeding on them. That's just the way it actually is. Yeah, and what we can just see is a created ecosystem. It looks like we've actually, it looks like there might actually just be current right there running. I don't see that water?
Yeah, I see the.
Oh, there's a lot of fish. That's what it is. It's a school of minnows. That's what's going on there.
Yeah, there'll be some flounder somewhere having a meal too.
Oh yeah, and
and wiggle down and.
Oh yeah, I was on I had a live broadcast where I showed the flounder and the way that it was going across the bottom, and then it wriggles on in. I couldn't see him.
The only thing you can see is barely an outline or 2 eyes sometimes if you know what you're looking for.
Oh yeah, yeah.
River, you were just a handful today. She woke up. I don't know what it is today. She seems to be getting a little more energetic and full of herself. I think her teething's.
Oh yeah.
She's got some rope toys and stuff, and today I'm gonna get her some better treats and some that gentle leader thing.
Now, when do you think you'll let her run without a leash?
Well, I get her used to the park over there.
Yeah.
And,
can they run without a leash there?
Oh yeah. Oh, that's what I say. It's so much fun over there to watch.
Oh, nice.
It's the big dog park is about probably 1.5 acres, 2 acres, all fenced in.
Right.
They have benches there, and they have bags for the dog. You know, they keep it. You know, it's for dogs, and they have a small dog park.
Wow.
And so they all they learn to socialize and run loose and everything. And the dogs just have such a blast. It's so much fun to watch them.
Wow, that sounds like a neat place to go. I'm going to go over there, and that's pretty close to the water park too, isn't it, Bill?
Yeah, it's right there. When you're pulling into the park on that road, you see it on the left.
Yeah.
You see both dog parks, and then you pull in and turn around, and they're right there near the baseball fields.
Wow, that sounds like you know, I've been through there on the motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
I'll come back on around and show that. It looks like the percentage of rain they were talking about might show up today, huh?
Yeah, we were actually going to do the sunrise, and I was going to go down to here and try to get it. Like I say, for the other dog I had for 15 years, and
oh yeah,
we were everywhere with him, and you could let him off the leash. Once I took him to an area 4 or 5 times,
right?
He wouldn't get away from you.
Yeah.
But her, I'm gonna have to work on.
Yeah, well, it'll. Well, there's other puppies out there. Do you know Gilligan is now he's a year old. But he's German short hair, and Zoe is the mother to him. Donna and Steve walk the, and there's well, I know a lot of the pet owners and the puppies, the pets that they bring out there. A lot of neat people. I just really enjoy that area, and yeah. Well, it sounds like you've been out there a bit too.
Oh yeah, we used to go out there. It's probably been 2 years now since I've been out there, because the last time my dog was just too old to make it. You know, I had.
Oh, there's Park and Rec. I'm gonna need to fasten that board down on my car. I don't want them to think I didn't take. I want to say, hey, yeah, I just it was underneath the pier. It's not a part of the pier. It was actually over across the piping that goes to the faucet. It was going to end up messing it up.
Oh yeah, well, it'll float out here, and it'll end up eating somebody's prop up or something on the boat.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I'm doing
you did a service.
Oh yeah. Well, Bill, it was a pleasure to meet you and River.
Take her on to Walmart now, since we ain't gonna get in this.
I think
later on in the summer, the sun comes up over that way more.
Oh yeah.
Get good sunrise.
Yeah, I've got it where I shot it from that vantage point there, and then in the winter it comes up over those hotels from here. Mm-hmm. Isn't that something? Oh, yeah. Well, that's part of the mystery of the world that we live in. It's actually the sun and the moon and the stars that are moving. We're not wobbling, spinning and gyrating. And that's kind of interesting. The documentaries, Bill, on my YouTube channel, you might enjoy that. I have commentary on some of it, another video, Bill, I'll just show the beauty of creation and let the birds and the waves do the talking. Good to see you, Bill.
Come on, get out of that mud. Come on.
What a beautiful day.
Oh, it sure is. Come on, River Dog.
So that board you saw me carry out earlier, I'm going to put on the roof of the car, I'm going to fasten that down and put that on in the front of the driveway where we live, because the way that the curb is designed there in front of the driveway, the front end of the little Cooper has to, well, it hits. We have to back it out really slow and all of that. That'll work perfect in there. Like I was telling Bill, he was wondering, well, what I was doing, and I said, well, I explained that to him, and there's a curb kind of thing that you can buy for that driveway. It's about a $300 thing. Well, I didn't want to spend $300 for that. So that's the sound of a gas leaf blower, or a gas blower. And yesterday on the broadcast, maybe you heard my my lithium powered blower. Quite a difference, isn't there? So this is my setup. I just need to tie it down. I'll go ahead and put you in a quieter area here. I'll be just a couple minutes. So part of what I wanted to show you is what I ended up doing here. The microfiber adds a lot of traction. That's all wrapped around there really good, and that'll allow this to stay really solid, and that's just how I rigged it up. And the reason why I wanted to explain that is simply because I wanted you to see, oh, there we've got blue sky. Not blue. It depends on perspective. So one of the reasons why I take the time to show this to you is reality check. That's still the theme, and I still believe what I showed you applies. If there's a situation where law enforcement believes that I'm doing something dangerous, they would, if they see me doing that, they would address that. Now I've got a view up above of the board, so if it starts doing anything that I don't want to see it doing, I can go ahead and deal with that then. There's Bill and River. It was nice to meet Bill. I was able to give him my cards, and we talked for a little bit. I didn't. He said he was going to check out my my channel. Sounded like he was interested in that. And one of the things I'm interested, Bill, if you're watching this, in talking to you about your scientific background in the German company that you worked with. It's just that I wanted to give you some time to review some information. Oh, I've got a hum of the tie-down strap. I may end the broadcast early. I don't know. I'll just maybe keep that on there for now. Yeah, the tension changes the sound. So my guess would be if I could put another yellow strap to cause it to be quieter. I'm gonna check that out. So I'm gonna let Bill avail himself to evaluating that information, and I certainly gave him the invitation to contact me anytime. I'd be happy to talk to him. I'm gonna pull into the gas station and see if I can put a sound damper in there. What I'm thinking is a towel wrapped around the strap will stop some of that vibrating. We'll see. So part of the dynamic is I've been involved in transportation before and helping to load boats and cars in some really interesting ways with heavy equipment, and actually seen a hearse pulling a U-Haul at the Boys Ranch where I worked at. It's kind of interesting the way that people will improvise. I learned a lot of improvisation. I was able to tighten up the load a bit. So, like, I would respectfully interact with anybody that thinks what I'm doing here would be dangerous, because I don't believe it would be or is. It's a lot quieter now. I was able to cinch it a little bit, tighten that up. So now it could all of a sudden just snap, but it's kind of a wet board, and because of the weight of it, it'll stay put much better than the couple of small boards I had laying around the house yesterday. So I'll sweep it, wash it, scrub it up a little bit, make it look really nice. I don't want our how would I say, our homeowners association that we're subject to, if they don't like something, they don't believe it fits the way that they want the neighborhood to look, they would let me know. However, I didn't want to spend $350 for a composite plastic thing to fit in the curb. I'll show you what it looks like when I get it home. So with regards to Bill, I would be interested in knowing what Bill's scientific background is and all of that. And what I know too is if Bill is watching this, or an individual like Bill that has a background, a lot of education, is that one of the challenges is to overcome the indoctrination part of that. Indoctrination taking on a negative connotation, in that there's an element of deception that's involved in what we're dealing with, and that being the whole system of the world basically is saying there is no God, and the Bible is saying yes there is. And I'm simply going to agree with God's word, the Bible, and do what he says I should be doing. That's all. That's what I'll do. So the whole education system is not limited to school buses and students. We've got distance learning, and where students are interacting with some aspect of staff that may be a living person, a human being, a teacher, a principal, or quite possibly could quite possibly be just the artificial intelligence that's tracking, tracing, databasing, and threat assessing all of our activity. So as I'm driving home, I'm certainly going through surveillance cameras. In Myrtle Beach, many additional surveillance cameras were added, and then it was made public that happened, because and you know what, I'm fine with that. I think that makes good sense, because for somebody planning to commit a crime, knowing that a lot more of their activity is going to be visible is a powerful deterrent. They just don't have to think about is there a police officer parked alongside the road up there. There's cameras at many intersections that I won't say storage is cheap by the inmates. Yeah, we're all contained somewhat in a prison system that has of a lot of freedom to go here and there, do this, that, to do a job, to earn money, to have a portion of that, a large portion, depending on where you live. In the United States, it's a large portion of the money that we earn goes to pay for the system of governance, the creating of laws and the enforcement of laws and codes and all of that. So I'm not going to elaborate on all of that. In fact, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna end the broadcast in a little bit. I've got a lawn to mow, and but I do want to show you why I've got the board in the. I can see somebody just joined the broadcast. I really do appreciate the liking, sharing, and the commenting. The real challenge to overcome is our human nature, the pride that we were born with. When I was born again, Jesus changed me so much where he gave me, by his grace, a love for the truth, humility to admit that, yes, I was deceived, I was wrong, and now what am I going to do about it? We were part of perpetuating a deception, the global deception and more. Now that I realize many of these actual conspiracies, as 9/11, the events of 9/11 of 2001, I elaborate on that on other videos, and I have documentation to substantiate some very interesting perspectives on that. The official story is obviously a lie. Okay, then we've got the World Central Bank, the Rothschild Empire, the Illuminati that are involved in all of this. Keep in mind that nothing is going to happen in this world that God that created this world doesn't cause or allow. That's challenging to consider. It's a rather weighty reality to consider, yet I believe it's the reality. I believe in the absolute sovereignty of God. He's in charge, and he's in control. So Satan will use who and what he can. God uses it all, including Satan, the fallen angels, and all the culprits, the puppets that are used to do evil things. So, all that being said, I've got a lot of content that you can evaluate on my liked video playlist. I've got other YouTube channels that I believe are worth looking at, and for those I have featured them as channels on my YouTube channel, Eternal Perspective. My contact information is public because if somebody wants to call me, I'll be happy to talk to you. You can either call 1-843-504-1776. I've got that on my card, as you can see. And then I've got a YouTube channel, Eternal Perspective. I'll be getting a YouTube channel shirt, I believe. I want people to be able to go there and check that out. What a privilege to have instantaneous worldwide communications that are in the hands of people like me, that are not afraid to live, die, or tell the truth. It's a big deal. What will it profit a man if he gain the whole world and lose his soul? Or what can a man give in exchange for his soul? Apparently, Jacob I loved, Esau I hated, God says. Esau traded his birthright for a bowl of soup, a little temporary food sustenance for his physiology, his body. Bad trade. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that now by God's grace, by the power of his Spirit. So I was born in 1961. The hum is back. And I was born again in 2014 when I actually received the Holy Spirit. That's what happened to me. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and end the broadcast in a couple of minutes. I simply wanted to show you the setup on the front of my driveway, and preceding that I will show you one of these little additions people buy and can install. The one up here that I can see now is roughly $350 for that little black thing in the driveway there. So I've got I believe it's looks like a 2x6 or so. So when that little car backs out like that, the air dam on the front hits. That's the little board I had in there. I just put it there last night. And what I'll do is just put this in place so I've got a car blocking the path in case somebody's on their cell phone not watching me put that addition there. Then I won't get smashed into, right? I'll just leave that there. You can see earlier how I have it attached. I'll disconnect it now and put it in place. So that's totally going to work. All it needs to do is create a little change in the contour of that. And I'll sweep that up and wash it down later. It's amazing what a couple of tie-down straps can do, what I can do with that in that car to move things around. So now we can actually see the sun. We're pretty clear where we couldn't earlier. What I wanted to cover as I end this broadcast is just an observation. In the summer now, or approaching, the sun comes up over here and runs this path right here in this neighborhood. That's where it sat last night. When we had the time change, spring ahead, for a time the sun was coming up way closer, like in this area, and then going way low and dropping way over there. And then the moon, through the time of the month and also in the seasons, has a different route that that it runs. And they're not, so a uniform rotation of an oblate spheroid can't possibly explain what I've observed in the duration of visibility between the sun and the moon, and how that variance changes substantially through the year, through the season. What's the reality? Well, my reality is a little bit different than your reality, our life circumstances. And yet there's the ultimate reality of the need for people to be born of God's Spirit to even see the kingdom of heaven. And that is not just the creation of the world that we live in, as in the sun, moon, stars, what map, all of that. I'm showing you the creation of a new creature in Christ. Somebody that's on Reformation Day of 2014, as best I can tell. God gave me his Holy Spirit, a love for the truth, and took away the fear of what will happen to me if I expose the truth. So that's what I'm all about. Feel free to contact me anytime you like. An effective way of Bible.is, sharing that face-to-face face that I've created, found, and shared. And you can do the same. Share videos I believe are important for people to be aware of. So thank you so much for your public and private support.